So let's get into the mining stocks here really quick. And we'll take a look at the numbers as well for them. So Hut 8, production update for June. They increased its Bitcoin holdings by 328 BTC in the period ending June 30th, with 7,406 unencumbered Bitcoins in reserve. So this is kind of important here. Unencumbered meaning that they are not being lent out or used as collateral or anything like that. So that's good there. Hut 8 remains committed to its HODL strategy, which is right now probably a good strategy, especially where Bitcoin is so low. And if they don't have to, number one, sell any of their Bitcoins or dilute shares, I would say that's a good strategy to do right now. If they have enough capital or if they're getting enough funding from their other ventures that they have with their data services, data warehouse services that they also provide. So if they're able to maintain things from that, I think that's a good strategy going forward, obviously. But if it turns out that they have to actually sell, or not sell, if they have to sell their BTC, that's fine. But if they have to dilute shares in order to continue to hodl, I would say that's a bad strategy there. All right, continuing on here. So production highlights, 328 BTC were mined, resulting in an average production rate of 10.9 BTC per day. 100 of the self-mined Bitcoin in June were deposited into custody, consistent with our long-standing hodl strategy. Total Bitcoin balance held in reserve is 7,406 as of June. Installed operating capacity was 2.78 exahash at the end of the month, so a slight increase from the prior month, which is good. And then their high-performance computing business, which is not correlated to Bitcoin or Bitcoin mining, continues to bring in steady monthly recurring revenue and remains on track to grow about 18% by the end of the year. So hopefully this, high computing business side of the business is bringing enough, or generating enough revenue for them to cover the expense of electricity and everything else for the Bitcoin mining. If it is, that's great. And then that way they can obviously hodl for quite an extended time, I would think. So that's it for that, for Hut 8. Let's take a look at what I have for them, and we'll look at the numbers. And we'll take a look to see if they're undervalued or overvalued. And right now, everybody's undervalued, in my opinion. So obviously, shares outstanding for Hut is 175 million. Stock price right now is about $1.49. And I should have updated this. I did not update this. I apologize. So Hut 8 right now is at, let's see here. If I look at my cheat sheet here, it's $1.38, so we're not too far off from that. So market cap is about 261 million. Institutional ownership is at 22%. About 180 institutions own it. And BTC HODL is obviously 7,406, valued at approximately 148 million right now. And it's about 56% of their HODL position is part of their market cap right now, which is insane. And one share has 84 cents of BTC HODL right now. So way undervalued in my opinion. Looking at their production here for the last couple of months, we can see obviously in June, they had 328 BTC. Their hash rate is at 2.78 compared to 2.6 in last month. So a slight increase there of about 142 petahash increase, which is pretty good. And then obviously 309 BTC mined in May compared to the 328, which is also good as right there. That represents about 6.5 million in revenue for the month of June, which is obviously a decrease of from May, which was 9.8 million roughly at the ending price of Bitcoin for May. So that's about, 3,300 or so, 3.3 million less in revenue for the 2 months compared. Overall hash rate growth, this is the quarterly. Obviously, Bitcoins held in May was 7,078. Now we have 7,406. That's a difference of, basically, they sold zero right there. That's what we're calculating here. Everything that they made, they deposited into their HODL position. So that is all good and fine there. Going down to the miners here for June, we added the following miners here. We also dropped their days mining to 25 based on what was reported up above as far as them making, which was here, the 6.5 million. In order to get to that number, we had to drop the operating days here to 25. We also dropped the Ethereum mining revenue to 1 million basically, and we got it down to 6.5 million down here. So all of these numbers are calculated in Canadian, and then we're converting them over to USD. So this is 6.5 million, which is in line with what they mined as far as BTC. So we installed basically 1,533 of these 93 terahash miners. Those are coming into play here, which will obviously add into their revenues going forward. And so we should see an increase in, hopefully, in July on the revenue side if Bitcoin stays where it's at, or if it at least goes up in price. So it would be a good increase in July. Okay, so there's that. Oh, while we're down here, we might as well take a look at the analyst ratings and institutions. So institutions did increase by about 5. Shares did increase also by about 3.5 million or so. A little bit over 3 million. And obviously, a percentage owned has increased as well. We did have obviously one increase in strong buy, and regular buy is still 4, 0 hold, 0 underperform, 0 sell. The price target is 920 for the high, 562 for the low, for the average, and 383 for the low, which is lower than what it was the month prior, but still not bad. It's still almost, what is that, 800% increase from where it is right now. So as far as the high is, but that obviously all depends on where Bitcoin goes in the next couple months, and then can they execute on getting all the miners installed, and everything else has to play in line with that. And then looking obviously at their numbers here, we're using the price to earnings multiple of 20 on them. Right now, everything is just so much lower than where it should be. So currently they are at about, if we go far enough low, they're about a 2 PE right now based on the earnings that I'm seeing here. So we're obviously using the last 3 quarters earnings plus this quarter earning, which is going to be about $28 million right now if we're in line with it. And we're using obviously the last quarter and the 2 prior quarters of that, and we're getting to 153 million combined revenue. So we're using the 75% net income of gross revenue to get 114 million. And obviously if we increase the PE to about 10 to 15, at 10 they would be at 655. At 15 it would be at 982, which is pretty in line with the high estimates on analyst ratings as far as where they see it possibly going to. Obviously, if Bitcoin goes even further, goes up higher and better, stronger, we could be at a PE of 20, so we're looking at maybe 13, but I would think $9 and something change would be pretty good estimate as far as where we could possibly be at with a PE 15. And it also depends on their growth. So if they provide that they're going to be growing, they're going to be doubling their future hash rate. Right now, they're currently going to be about 3.2. If they double that, well, obviously that could obviously have an impact on the stock price as well, and increase the value for shareholders as well. So that's it. Obviously a good quarter, or not a good quarter, well, good quarter and a good month for Hut 8. So far, they're the only ones that haven't sold their BTCs in June. We've covered the other ones, Bitfarms, Core Scientific, DigiHost as well. They all sold a portion of their BTC. And we know also Riot and CleanSpark have sold, so we'll take a look at those next. But good month for Hut, obviously.